So today we're talking to Maciej Lampe, who is a former professional basketball player turned entrepreneur, mentor, and a global ambassador with a career spanning the NBA, EuroLeague, and top international competitions. You've seamlessly transitioned from an elite athlete to a business leader. So, Maciej, thank you for being here today.
Um,
Let's talk about your career first. How long were you a basketball player, and why did you suddenly, decide to end it and then, become an entrepreneur?
yeah, so I played professional sports for 22 years. That's 2 decades, and I didn't just stop like randomly. I had 22 years under my belt of professional basketball. So I'm very proud of my career. It's been a long one. It's been a long journey, but as an athlete, like I mentioned before, you need to understand that this money that you're making as a sports person, if you don't set up a structure for you to basically be continue to have an income after you're done playing, then you have an issue, and that's what happens with a lot of athletes, unfortunately, where they found themselves being used to making a certain amount of money every year, and then basically not having an income after that, and that can only take you, so far. So for me, in my career, I was very fortunate to always invest in real estate. I started investing in real estate when I played in the NBA. My first investment in the real estate market was in 2004.
Mhm.
So that's something that's been able to carry me after my career. And I encourage every athlete to invest their money in some shape or form.
What made you stop being? I mean, why did you retire?
Well, I've played so long. I've played everywhere. I played in the NBA. I've played in Europe. I played in Asia. It was time for me. I knew it was time for
Mm.
me. Injuries are part of the game. I was
Yeah,
38 years old or 37 years old when I retired. I'm a 6'11", 125 kilo power forward center. I think
yeah.
I pushed my limits when it came to professional sports. I invested a lot of money in my health in the last 5 years of my career. It was just time for me.
Right. So what would you say are the key skills that you've taken from being an athlete to sort of to
Oh,
use it in sort of business and also your personal
yeah.
life?
Yeah, so I think one of the key skills that I have to mention is relationship with God. This has been something that's been very helpful for me during my career because a lot of times, you're stuck in this place where you kind of by yourself, like some people, some athletes have their families to talk to, but a lot of the times it's just you against you. So I was
Hmm.
really fortunate to grow up in Sweden and go to basically a Catholic high school there with German nuns, where from a young kid, when I went there, I used to hate it because we used to have like 3 times the homework of all the kids, and it was pretty strict. And it was just like, oh, I have to go through this, but it made me who I am today. It taught me discipline. It taught me the values that I want to install, in my children and so forth. So I think education has a lot to do with it. Obviously, the way you're raised and the struggles you go through, but
Hmm.
everybody has their own story, obviously. And I don't think it's that complicated in life. Any situation that you're into, you have two options. Either you can play the victim or you can learn from it and embrace it and just move forward and have that mentality, or you can blame people and you can talk about people, why this and why that, but if you really really want something, like for
Hmm.
example the basketball tournament that I'm doing, or any project that I'm involved in, like I told you earlier, I believe in these things. So it's almost like it's not a job, it's just natural, and that's what you want to find in life, things that can set you apart, and things that you believe in, can
So how do
help you.
you when you're sort of you have something in mind? What is the sort of discipline? So, for example, winning a game, or winning a business? What is it that kind of you have in mind to achieve that?
So you need to, I mean, what I do is that I put time frames on things because if not, it's a fantasy. So if you have a goal and you don't have a time frame, then it's a fantasy. You have to put a time frame on your goals, and when you put the time frame on your goals and you work every day towards that goal, towards that time frame that you want to accomplish it, then that's already, that's the direction you need to go to. Because if you have an idea and you're not doing anything or you don't have a time set, everything is about time, and how we use our time. So for example, I don't know, in 2025, I want to accomplish the goal of, I don't know, doing this with this company or doing that with that company or doing this in the media or doing that and so forth. It's time.
Hmm.
You have to find the sweet spot of having, these time frames and goals where you're accomplishing things daily, but also not to get overwhelmed where it's like, stressful or you can't, handle it. So for me, it's like, it's like a sweet spot between those things where, I write them down on a piece of paper.
Hmm.
Every week I write and I say to myself, okay, this needs to be handled during these days, and
Hmm.
I just keep knocking them out. As soon as I'm done with one email, or one call, I go to the next one. I keep a track record of it. This is something that is very important as well. So you can always go back in time and check what you've accomplished, which maybe you didn't accomplish fully. So you need to, everything is about tracking your stuff, and everything
Hmm.
that you are doing that you believe in. Because if it
Hmm.
matters to you, it's a matter of respect. If it matters to you, and it matters to the other person, then everything you do, you need to give it your full focus on, just like this conversation now, right? What you don't want to
Sure.
be doing in any field of life is just being there half.
And what are the values that, I mean, you talk about values. What are your
Yeah.
values, would you say?
Well, I think that every person should have their own criteria when it comes to this point, and they don't need to feel, or I don't need to feel like I need to explain them. This is something that I think should be shown in your character, that people should kind of just like look at and be like, oh, okay, he's not permitting this. This is not the guy to do this with, and everybody is different. What I said earlier was like I'm very careful who I, you know, put in my circle. When it
Hmm.
comes to interns, for example, I'm a very demanding person, and I've always been like that, and I'm gonna always be like that. I was a demanding basketball player. I have high standards. If I see that you're slacking in any field, I'm gonna call you out on it. And if you, that's just me. That's just the way I am.
Hmm. So when it comes to sort of mentoring students, I mean, how do you kind of like show them the way?
Yeah. So for me, the biggest thing with that would be visualization. So when it comes to younger kids and younger players, or even kids in school, you have everything starts with a thought, right? So whatever you want to approach in life or go after it, it starts with a thought. So for me
Hmm.
personally, like I wasn't the best player on my team when I started playing, but I visualized, next week we have a game. The week after that, we have another game. In 3 weeks, I'm going to score the most points on the team. So it all comes down to being able to have the imagination and basically think of the things that you want. And then also, what is important is not always to think just from your perception,
Hmm.
because perception varies from the people that we meet in our life. So, for example, your perception of me is not the same perception that Jose over here has of me. And this is
Mhm.
something that you need to come to realization too, that you're not the same person in everybody's book or everybody's story. And that's the beautiful thing also about it, that, when it comes to inspiring people or being a mentor, a lot of times you can get inspired from somebody that you've never seen or you hardly ever talk to. And
Mhm.
you can be in an environment with people that you've known for 20 plus years that do nothing for you. So it's like this magical thing where you as a person get to pick what you want from each character that enters in your life, right?
Advice would you give to athletes preparing for life beyond the game, especially navigating identity and business success?
This could end tomorrow. You don't know how long you're going to play. You don't know because tomorrow is not promised. So the goal is to each day be the best possible version of yourself, and you also have to keep an open mind and realizing in some shape or form that you're playing a sport. Like, relax. Like, you need to kind of step out of your body. I know you need to have a big ego to be successful sometimes in sports, but you also need to realize that you are fortunate to be able to perform a craft that you like to do and get paid for it. You know, yes, not a lot of people make it, up to that level, but once you're at that level of a professional soccer player, a professional basketball player, and you're playing in the highest leagues in the world, um, you need to basically understand A, that, you know, it could end tomorrow, and B, also how fortunate you are. It kind of goes, in a balance type of thing where, like I said, when you understand the first thing that, hey, I can get injured tomorrow, I could break my hip and I'm done,
Mhm.
right? So that basically makes you go, wow, okay, I just signed this contract, but next year is not promised. So you're always in this kind of like competition mode of making it to the next day. That's, what I would say would be like the best comparison into the things that I'm doing now is having that same type of mindset going into business ventures and whatever I'm involved in. Whereas there, when I say something, I have to do it.